All right, I'm going to call the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting of April 25th to order. We'll start with a roll call.
Alberto Paratore.
Norma Drummond.
Rocco Limatone.
Can I ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good, thank you. All right, just a couple announcements before we start, or to start. On item number 1, we have an adjourned public hearing, but we had requested from the applicant some information, and they did not provide it. So if anyone is here for that, we will allow you to speak on it. But just to let you know, there is no new information on number 2. We're just going to pass right over number 7 because that is not a public hearing. That's still for review. And there, again, there's no new information. And after our discussion last time around with them, we definitely needed them to reconsider. And then my last comment is just about people putting signs up. When you get your signs, we need to make sure the purpose of putting in the signs is to let your neighbors and people who are driving in the area who might not get a letter, to let them know that you have an application before this board. So your signs are supposed to be at the road, visible to people who drive by. And so if I just remind people, I'm probably going to have to periodically do that. Signs belong at the road so that they are visible for people to see that you have an application before us. So with that said, our next 2 meetings are going to be Tuesday, May 23rd and Tuesday, June 27th. We have 1 set of minutes to adopt from our March 28th meeting, which got to us just a little bit late, but there were really very, very few amendments. So at least my suggested amendments. So if anybody has any other amendments or would like to make a motion to accept the minutes.
Motion to accept the minutes as recorded.
As correct, as amended. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good. All right, so folks, just so you all understand what happens this evening, we have, first we're going to start with a decision, which is an application this board has already reviewed. We've already had a public hearing on, but because of just a couple issues with this one, we wanted to hold off before passing a decision. So we're going to start with a decision. We then have public hearings, which are applications that this board has already reviewed. And now we are looking for comments from neighbors or from people who live closer by to these properties, because we recognize you probably know the area and any impact that these might have better than we would. And then last are reviews, which are generally applications, the first time we're seeing applications, or in one case we've seen it before, but again, they're not in for this meeting. So it's our first time to ask any questions about the applicant, from the applicant, what are they trying to accomplish, that sort of thing. So with that said, we do have one. We're going to start with the decision. If somebody wishes to offer the decision.
Sure. Do that.
Kimberly Corners.
Which one are we doing first?
56.
Kimberly Corners.
Kimberly Corners, yep. Appeal number 4056, the applicant is Kimberly Corners Corp. It's a special permit pursuant to section 19487 of the Town Code to allow a caretaker apartment in a shopping plaza. Location is 1610 Route 82, LaGrangeville. Resolution offered by zoning board member Rocco Limatone. Whereas the applicant has applied for permission for a caretaker's apartment in the Kimberly Corners Shopping Center, and whereas the applicant previously applied for and was granted approval for a caretaker's unit pursuant to decision and order number 3705. But the applicant never constructed the caretaker's unit. And whereas, because it previously failed to complete the caretaker's unit, the applicant needed to apply to the ZBA, the zoning board, again. And whereas the zoning board of appeals held a public hearing on March 28th of 23, and whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on March 22nd, 23. And whereas this is a type 2 action under SECRA and no further review is required. Now therefore be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approves the request from Kimberly Corners Corp. for a special permit for a caretaker's unit pursuant to section 194-87 of the Town Code, subject to the applicant rectifying any existing violations and obtaining approval from the Dutchess County Department of Health for the caretaker's unit.
Second.
Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or the duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Before we get a second on that, just a question, Michael, is it obtaining approval from the Dutchess County Department of Health for the caretaker unit or for the septic related?
For the septic or sanitary system.
So let's just add for the sanitary system related to. Okay, so with that amendment, motion?
Okay, what's the amendment?
From the Dutchess County Department of Health for the sanitary system related to the caretaker's
Unit.
unit, okay?
Second as amended.
Okay, good, thank you. So votes as follows. Aziz?
Aye.
Rocco?
Aye.
Al?
Aye.
And myself, aye, so that motion carries. If somebody can pass that down to Jackie or Julie, just so that they have the wording. All right, so I had already mentioned that item number 2, when we last met with them, they were supposed to have provided some additional information because they brought in a lot of fill beyond what was allowed by the code, and there was questions about what was in that fill. And so apparently the building department has gotten some information, but because it came in after the date that we had set as a, for a reasonable time period to allow for review, they didn't have a chance to review it in time for tonight's meeting. So if there's anybody here related to item number 2, which is Appeal 4052 Panhandle Street, Inc., 256 Woodlawn Road, Hopewell Junction, requesting a special permit in order to bring in 1,750 additional cubic yards of fill. If anybody is here for that application, if you could just raise your hand real quickly and let me know, because otherwise I don't even want to open the public hearing. Okay, so this is adjourned, what we had said last time around, until they brought us enough information. So we're just going to leave that to be adjourned until the May 23rd meeting, or until, the building department is comfortable with the information that we have. All right, item number 3, Appeal 4057, Nancy Svankovic, 70 Miller Hill Road, Hopewell Junction, requesting a 17-foot sideline variance for a proposed 1,448 square foot addition pursuant to the schedule of bulk regulations of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Good evening.
Stephen Silverstein for Nancy Zankovic. I have Kate Zankovic here.
Okay. So we've had an opportunity to review this application already. This is an old house. I think we've been told or guessing that the house was built sometime around 1772.
Yes.
It's on the corner of Woodmont and Rushmore,
Yes.
right? Thank you. I'm trying to go from memory here, not from, so anyway, it's less than 1,500 square foot, the existing house.
Yes.
And it's because of when it was built and the way roads were used in the 1700s, it's awfully close to the road. And so you're proposing, asking for more livable space in the house. And you're kind of working with the curve of the road, and you want to keep it in keeping with the frontage that's there already. Mount Rushmore and Woodmont are not heavily trafficked roads. And so that's why you're asking for something that needs that front yard variance.
Yes.
So the addition is 1,448 square feet. We've kind of reviewed this, and we just said, let's hear from anybody at this point if they have any concerns. So are any comments or questions from board members?
I'm good.
No.
We also had a discussion about the tanks, the gas tanks or
Yes.
something, about why they were so close to the road.
I sent last week
Yeah.
the survey. I have a copy of it here, but you can see on the photograph that one tank is...
If you don't mind, go to the microphone, because we need you to be able to hear you.
Can you
That's
see
fine.
this? Fine.
In our file is
Yes, I mean, this is in the file, this is a little larger. Here,
Right.
I'll just give it to you.
we all have we have it. That's all right. Oh, just do I have it? Oh, okay. Thank you. Go ahead, guys.
There's a 2.5-foot stone wall around the whole site, and the tanks are not even visible from the road. There's actually,
Yeah, because you're giving us a picture with snow on the ground, so clearly this is
Well-
without the benefit of any, tree
Okay.
cover that you'd get in the summertime. Wow. It's a nice little place.
Nice property.
Yeah, okay. So questions from, or comments from board members?
I have none.
No comments? No
All right,
questions?
is there anyone here who wishes to speak for or against the request from Nancy, say the name for me?
Zankovic.
Zankovic, thank you. That's not how it looks as
She had
it's
to
spelled.
grow up with it, so.
70 Miller Hill Road, Hopewell Junction, requesting a 17-foot sideline variance for a proposed 1,448 square foot addition. Anybody here to speak for it? Sure.
In the back.
All right, if we don't mind, if you could sit down, so the person, the neighbor might like to speak, that's fine. Come to the microphone, please. And is there a clipboard there for her to sign in when, at some point, if you could write your name down, just so we have it
Okay.
for the record? Thank you.
Yes, my name is Tracy Marek. I live at 7 Rushmore Road, directly next door, and I just had questions. I'm not necessarily here to object or anything. I just had questions in terms of what exactly the construction is going to be, how long it may last, because I do work from home, as does my husband. I'm an attorney, and I don't want to, I mean, if I need to find
Disturbance.
somewhere else to be handling my hearings, I wanted to know how long it's going to be, or how loud it's going to be, what type of work's going to be done, that type of thing, because we are directly next door.
Okay. So if you don't mind, if you could step aside, if we could have the applicant's professional come back up and, I mean, how quickly are you likely to be starting construction, and what is that construction likely to, and it could be that the owner has to answer as well.
We have to go
You
through,
got to speak into the microphone, please.
we have to go through a bunch of approvals.
Right.
We're right now hiring the engineers to start the septic system approval and all those other things like that. The earliest the construction will start will be the fall of 2023. But what we're doing is we're really adding onto the house. So where the existing barn is, it's in between the existing barn and the existing house. So the barn will
Buffer?
buffer the noise, plus the hill basically will buffer, the hill behind the house will buffer a great deal of noise.
So is the house behind or adjacent to, is that at a lower elevation? Is it at a higher elevation?
It's at a higher elevation,
It's
yes.
at- okay.
Because Rushmore does go uphill.
Right, okay.
It's going to be...
And how far, do you know how far away that house is beyond the barn?
I don't have a survey of that.
Okay,
But this is normal construction. And it's wood frame. We'll try to do the best, I mean, we'll follow the rules, 8 to 4:30 or whatever it is in this town.
okay. All right. Thank you. I'm not sure if that helps,
Can you please come up and just,
only if she has additional comments.
I'll be happy to show the plan.
No, I know, I'm familiar with the house because I do live directly next door, and it's on the corner of Rushmore and Miller Hill. Miller Hill does go up, Rushmore Road goes up a little bit in an incline. We're directly next door on Rushmore Road. So I'm familiar with the house and how it's not inside, but I think I know what they're talking about in terms of the barn and the house. I just wanted to confirm, you're planning on connecting the barn and the house?
No,
You're building
all right, hold on.
completely...
You're directing your comments or questions to
Okay.
us, and then we'll direct
Okay.
who will respond to them.
Okay,
The addition is proposed to go onto the house, not
Okay.
onto the barn,
okay,
not onto the garage, sorry.
okay. And then he said that the construction will probably start November.
Late this year, because this is just one approval. They haven't even gotten other approvals that they need.
Okay.
and again, it'll be just wood construction, and they're going to work during business hours, which is also your business hours, 8 to 5:30 or 5 or whatever, something in that range. So, I mean,
It's a one-story addition,
Okay.
so we're not going up high.
No, like I said, I didn't have any objections. I just wanted some more information as to what I can expect.
I mean, I think their hope would be that they could close it in before winter, and then the interior work shouldn't disturb you at all. So
Okay.
How close is your house to their property line? Do you know?
Well, according to the letter, I got said 250 feet, but
Well, that's just the property line.
Right.
That's not telling you how close your house is.
I don't know the measurements. I mean, there's woods, but it's not really dense woods between us, because a lot of the trees have fallen between us, but I couldn't tell you the distance for sure,
Okay,
but we're directly next door.
okay.
Construction's not as loud as it used to be. They don't use hammers anymore. Everything is
Yeah.
Nail gun.
nail guns, and
Right, like I
the
said,
only thing you hear is
Yeah.
a circular saw.
yeah, my only concern was, how long and the noise, because I do work from home, but like I said, I don't have any objection, I just wanted some additional information.
My best guess is they're going to want to close it in as
Right.
quickly as possible.
Okay.
And then do all the interior construction during the winter.
That makes sense.
That's how, otherwise, if it drags on for too long, you're exposing materials outside unnecessarily, and frankly, there's a lot of extra cost if it goes on for too
Right.
long, so. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
They're all eager tonight.
Yeah, just one short agenda.
Appeal number 4057, applicant is Nancy Vankovic. Did I get that right? Sorry.
So sorry. Oh my God.
Name of project, a 17-foot sideline variance from the requirements of the Schedule of Bulk Regulations for a proposed 1448 square feet addition. The location is 70 Miller Hill Road, Hopewell Junction. Tax map number is 6554-00-01998. Excuse me. Zoning District R3, and the resolution is offered by Al Paratori. Whereas the house of the applicant's property is believed to have been built in 1772, and whereas the applicant is applying for an addition to make the house more livable, as a existing house is only approximately 1,500 square feet, and whereas this is a type 2 action under SECRA and no further review is required, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held the public hearing on April 25th, 2023, and whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on April 19th, 2023, whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the granting of the variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood, since the property will remain in residential in nature. The desired result cannot be achieved by other means due to the location of the existing house. The variance could be deemed substantial. The variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions. Now therefore be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals thereby approves the request from Nancy Zvankovic for a 17-foot sideline variance from the requirements of the Schedule of Bulk Regulations for a proposed 1448 square feet addition. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filled with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Is there a second?
Second.
Votes as follows: Aziz.
Aye.
Rocco.
Aye.
Al.
Aye.
And myself, aye. So your motion carries. You guys are all set. Now you deal with the building department. Okay? Have a good night. And by the way, I'm one of those people, I had a maiden name that was 10 letters and 5 syllables, so, an Italian name that people never pronounce right. So I'm always very sensitive to saying names right, but sometimes there are still a couple tough names, so our apologies ahead of time.
Definitely.
All right, item number 4, Appeal 4059, Anthony Pallone, 43 Saddle Ridge Drive, Hopewell Junction, requesting an 11-foot rear line variance for an existing 10-foot by 8-foot or 80-square-foot shed with electric pursuant to the Schedule of Bulk Regulations of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good evening.
How you doing?
Good, how are you? So we had an opportunity to review your application last month. You did not put the shed in when you bought the property. The shed was there.
Yes.
The shed's probably been there for about 30 years because you said it's in decent shape, but it needs a new roof, so you're
I
looking
took
to
care of
put
that
in-
already.
Huh?
I took care of that already.
You put a new roof on it already? Okay. And so, the fact that your neighbors haven't complained about it in the 30 years or, raises or makes us believe that they don't necessarily object to it. You did actually get the benefit of a neighbor letter.
Yes, Michael O'Brien, I believe.
Yes. Who's not exactly a neighbor, but
Yeah.
that's okay. Jackie, somewhere you gave me that letter. I got it. I didn't lose it. So before I read the letters, are there any comments or questions from board members? It's only, like it's 10
It's
foot
a
by
small
8
shed.
foot. It's a tiny shed, so.
I'm good.
I'm good.
All right, so let me read the one neighbor letter. I'm from Michael O'Brien, dated April 13th, 2023. It's an actual email that was sent to both Jackie and I. I'm writing to express my support of Pollone's zoning variance application for 43 Saddle Ridge Drive. The Pollones are wonderful people and wonderful neighbors. They maintain their property flawlessly. Please grant them this small variance for their shed. So, is there anybody else who wishes to speak for or against the request from, sorry, I shut my agenda here. Anthony Pollone, 43 Saddle Ridge Drive, Hopewell Junction, requesting an 11-foot rear line variance for an existing 10-foot by 8-foot shed. Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This is appeal number 4059. Applicant is Anthony Pallone, requesting a 11-foot rear line variance from the requirements of the Schedule of Bulk Regulations and Section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance for an existing 10-foot by 8-foot, 80-square-foot shed. Resolution offered by zoning board member Aziz Ahsan, whereas a prior owner of the property had placed the shed on the property approximately 3 decades ago, and whereas the applicant intends to replace, whereas the applicant has already replaced the roof on the shed, and whereas this is a type 2 action under seeker, and whereas a legal notice was published in the Southern Duchess News on April 19, 2023, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on April 25, 2023, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the granting of the variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood, as the property will remain residential in nature, the desired result cannot be achieved by some other means due to the shed being placed in this location prior to the applicant purchasing the property. The variance could be deemed substantial, but the shed is remaining in the same place it has been for the past 3 decades. The variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions. Now therefore be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approves the request of Anthony Pallone for a 11-foot rear line variance from the requirement of the Schedule of Bulk Regulations and Section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance for an existing 10-foot by 8-foot, 80-square-foot shed. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Is there a second?
Second.
Votes as follows: Aziz.
Aye.
Rocco.
Aye.
Al.
Aye.
And myself, aye. Your
Thank you.
motion carries. You're all set.
Have a good night.
Take care now.
Good night. All right, item number 5, Appeal 4060, Nicholas Barbaria, 24 Prentice Drive, Hopewell Junction, requesting a 1-foot sideline variance for a 6-foot fence pursuant to the Schedule of Bulk Regulations of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good evening.
Good evening.
So again, we had an opportunity to review your application last month. You were actually in here April of last year, so you were here a year ago, because you mentioned that you were on a Zoom meeting.
Yes.
And what you asked for at that point, your request was to be able to get the extra 2 feet. Because you're allowed the 4 feet, you were given the 6 feet.
Yes.
So that's what you were here for.
Yes.
You didn't get permission to build less than the 2 feet. You would have been told it had to be 2 feet in from the property line.
Okay.
So, but apparently your contractor came, put the fence in, it ended up being 6 inches closer than you expected, 6 inches closer to the property line than you expected it to be. And now, so we need to clear that up, but then you're also you're just bringing to our attention the fact that you'd like some additional panels, so you're going to be extending it further out, right?
Correct,
Than
yes,
you
into the
expected to
backyard,
be.
yes.
Okay, so going into the backyard, we don't have to worry about the 2-foot height difference. That's what you needed because it was in front of the front line of the house. But it's because of the fact that you want to keep it in line with what already got put in, and that's the 1.5 feet in versus the 2 feet in it's supposed to be. And the idea is the fence is supposed to be in 2 feet because you're supposed to be able to maintain it on the other side without technically going on your neighbor's property.
Understood.
All right, so, it was not, you respect your professional to put a fence in where it's supposed to go.
Yes.
So I don't think our, sense is that it makes sense to move a fence, but we do have to go through the motions and make sure your neighbor doesn't object. So-
Sure.
So are there any comments or questions from board members?
I'm good.
I'm good.
None.
Is there anyone here who wishes to speak for or against the request from Nicholas Barbaria, 24 Prentice Drive, Hopewell Junction, requesting a 1-foot sideline variance for a 6-foot fence? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Rock, you want to go?
Sure. This is appeal number 4060. The applicant is Nicholas Barbadia. It's a request for a 1-foot sideline variance from the requirements of scheduled bulk regulations for a 6-foot fence. The address is 24 Prentice Drive, Hopewell Junction. Resolution offered by zoning board member Rocco Limatone. Whereas the applicant previously received a 2-foot high variance from the zoning board in 2022 to allow a 6-foot fence pursuant to appeal number 4029. And whereas the applicant's fence is partially installed, and he intends to install additional fence panels to complete the fence. And whereas the fence will be located approximately 1.5 feet away from the property line, and whereas this type of action under SECRA, this is a type 2 action under SECRA, and whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on April 19th of 2023. Whereas the zoning boards of appeal held a public hearing on April 25th, 2023. Whereas the zoning board of appeals finds that the granting of the variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood, as the property will remain residential in nature. The desired result cannot be achieved by some other means due to the location of the existing fence, which due to the location of the existing fence, which this proposed fence will connect to. Sorry. The variance is not substantial, and it is only approximately 6 inches less than what is permitted by the town code. The variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions. Now therefore be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approves the request of Nicholas Barbaria for a 1-foot sideline variance from the requirements of the scheduled bulk regulations for a 6-foot fence. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or the duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Is there a second?
Second.
Votes as follows: Aziz.
Aye.
Rocco.
Aye.
Al.
Aye.
And myself, aye. So your motion carries. You're all set.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Have a good night.
Thank you, you too. I have one other question.
Sure.
For the fence that I plan to, that's approved as well? That's okay? To
Yeah,
go
'cause
into the
it's your
backyard?
Backyard.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
That's what we're lining up.
Yes,
You're
okay.
allowed to line it up with
Okay,
that.
okay, great. And
Okay.
can I start the work right away, or do I need to get a permit in hand first?
got to be issued.
So you deal with the building department.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Matt.
Take care.
All right, item number 8. Sorry, item number 6. Let's not skip ahead.
It did look-
Because item number
looked
7
like an
is a
8.
no-go, so, okay, so item number 6. Appeal 4062, Margaret McDuffie, 17 Laura Lane, Hopewell Junction, requesting a variance for a proposed 10-foot by 12-foot or 120-square-foot shed to be located in the front yard pursuant to the schedule of bulk regulations of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so like the other applications, we did have an opportunity to review your application last month. You are looking to use the shed in the front of your house
Yes.
to keep woodworking supplies. We made it very clear that this is not a business.
I'm retired. I'm 60, I'm retiring. That's why I moved from the space in Cold Spring where I've been for the past 25 years. I brought all that stuff home so I can have a hobby shop and just do things at home for myself.
Okay?
Just wanted to make that clear. I didn't have a chance last time to kind of make a statement about why I was doing this and where it was located. I hadn't really thought it through, and I apologize, because I could have answered many of your questions, and I'm happy to answer more now.
Okay, just let me finish.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. So, as you told us, this is not a business, it's your hobby. That you have a sloped lawn, and you have a shed already in the backyard, and your septic is in the backyard, and because of the slope, there's no real convenient place for this to go in the backyard. The biggest issue we have is the fact that this would be visible. One driving by there now sees a pod in that area, and so, because that's where you're keeping the supplies right now. And so we did discuss about screening, putting some shrubs in to be able to screen that a bit. I don't remember what materials you're planning to use it. Do you remember what color is it going to be? Is it going to match the house? Is it going to?
It will match the house,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, and that your other issue is that you didn't want to cut down any trees, so that you're really looking to preserve, to fit it into the landscape of what's there now, so.
Yes, yes.
Comments or questions from board members?
I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm good.
So is there anyone here who wishes to speak for or against the request from Margaret McDuffie, 17 Laurel Lane, Hopewell Junction, requesting a variance for a proposed 10-foot by 12-foot shed to be located in the front yard? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, appeal number
Can I just-
40.
Sorry, can I make one comment, which is, I apologize, it didn't put it right on the road, the sign, because I thought I was supposed to put it near where the shed was going to be, so I just apologize. Sorry, I keep interrupting.
The sign.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
all right.
wasn't quite in the front.
That's it, we changed it.
Next time, we're going to ask for it.
She's not going to come back.
Anyway.
Go ahead, somebody read the resolution.
Appeal number 4062, applicant Margaret McDuffie. Name of project, request for a variance from the requirements of a schedule of bulk regulations in section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance to allow a proposed 10 by 12, 120 square feet shed to be located in the front yard. Location is 17 Laurel Lane, Hopewell Junction. Tax map 635400665712, zoning district R2. Resolution offered by myself, Albert Paratori. Whereas the applicant owns a property that is very sloped, and whereas the flattest part of the property is in the front yard, and whereas the applicant is proposing to screen the proposed shed with shrubs, and whereas this is a type 2 action under SECRA, and whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on April 19, 2023, whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on April 25, 2023, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the granting of the variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood, as the property will remain residential in nature. The desired result cannot be achieved by some other means due to the drainage issues in the backyard of the property. The variance could be deemed substantial, but the shed is proposed to be placed in the area with the best drainage. The variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions. Now therefore be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approves the request of Margaret McDuffie for variance from the requirements of the Schedule of Bulk Regulations in Section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance to allow a proposed 10 by 12, 120 square feet shed to be located in the front yard, subject to the applicant removing the pod located on the property and screening the shed with a landscaping plan to be approved by the town's planning or engineering departments. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filled with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
All right, before we get a second on that, can we just be clear for this applicant? Does she need to get the landscape plan approved by the planning department or the engineering department? Because it says departments.
Yeah.
So who's approving landscape plans at this plan?
I think Michelle.
Michelle, right? So it's the
Rollins
planning
would review
department?
it. Planning department.
Okay, so let's amend that to just say the town's planning department. Okay? So as amended? Al?
Second as amended.
Okay, thank you. Votes as follows. Aziz?
Aye.
Rocco?
Aye.
Al?
Aye.
And myself, aye. So your motion carries, now you'll deal with the building department, okay?
Quick question?
Sure.
Do I have to do landscaping before I put up the shed?
No.
Okay, because I'd want to do it afterwards.
Right.
The only other thing is, I had a letter signed by several neighbors in support, and I wasn't sure when to submit it. I tried last week, but last month she said, okay. Thank you. I thought they went to the trouble
You
to
just
sign
got
it,
something.
so I wanted to make sure
That's fine.
it got
You're good.
somewhere.
Okay.
Thank you again so much for your time.
Have a nice night.
My hamstring is acting up, so I can't sit for too long. One more thing on the agenda, because there is no item number 7, so item number 8 must be sitting in the back of the room. Appeal 4063, Jonathan Nash, 27 Ridge Road, Hopewell Junction, is requesting a 15-foot rear line and a 727 square foot size variance for a proposed 34-foot by 30-foot, or 2,040 square foot detached garage pursuant to the schedule of bulk regulations of the zoning ordinance. The footprint of the house is 2,189 square feet. So, this is the first time we're seeing your application. If you don't mind taking us through what you're looking to do and why you need a garage that is so large.
Sure. First, I think it should be a sideline variance. I think my rear setback is like 400 feet behind. That's correct? Might be just a little typo there.
Everything says rear line, and building department says rear line.
Okay. I wasn't sure because I know it's almost like 2 rear lines. If you look at the survey, the way my property's kind of set up, I was told it might be the rearest
Yeah,
line.
you wrote rear sideline, and then it was crossed out and adjusted to rear line.
It is rear? Okay. Okay. And the sideline is fine?
It's a rear, yeah.
It's rear, okay. And the sideline's okay though? Or does that also need a
All
variance
right,
as
you're
well?
speaking to the board.
I'm sorry.
All right, so tell us what you're looking to do. Let's,
Just put up, it's going to be a 3-car garage with also boat storage, and then a second story, because I don't really have any attic space in my house, so I need all the storage I can get.
do you have a garage in your house now?
No. I had a garage, and I turned it into a family room, so I no longer have a garage.
Okay, all right, so then that helps, that makes sense. What's in the front of the house there? Oh, just a basin, okay.
You have, also it says proposed new shed location.
Well, apparently he's moved a shed.
It hasn't moved yet, but there's the plot ready to go, so whenever this whole thing goes, I can just call the company up and they can move it for me, but I haven't done any of that yet. Just the plot's been set up.
Okay. So there's an existing shed there that you're
Correct.
going to move to this other location, so
Yep.
it's-
In the back of the house.
yeah. All right.
And the
so-
second floor is going to have just storage space or
Storage, any kind of my hobbies, whatever, just up there.
like a work area, work?
Exactly.
But no
Yep.
residential space?
None. Nope.
Are you proposing plumbing in this building at all, or no?
No plumbing.
Okay.
Just electrical.
Electric, so you can open a garage, yeah.
Yep.
That's fine. So, according to this, according to the application, it says your garage is almost as large as your house, but your house looks so much larger on this plan.
Yeah, I'm not sure where the 2189 came from, because my footprint, I think, should only be about 1,700.
Well, that's a problem, because then we need to,
My total square footage with the added,
no, it's just your footprint of the
yeah,
house.
it should be about 1,700 or so.
Because if that's the case, then we probably have to approve the greater than the 60%.
We got it off parcel access. We didn't pull plans to review, but parcel
All right,
access
so
as the
can
first
you
story.
have whoever, your surveyor, can they give us the dimensions for your house? I mean, he's got other things on here. He's got the information, he just doesn't put it on here.
Okay.
If he can give us the dimensions for the footprint of your house, then we'll answer that question, because
Okay.
I don't want to take you so far and then find out you needed another variance because your request exceeds 60% of exceeds what the code allows.
Yep.
I don't want you to have to come back.
That's fine.
So how quickly do you think you can contact the surveyor and, because
To do
Jackie,
some-
when do you have to advertise for the May public hearing? Okay, all right, you should.
I will give him a call tomorrow and see. He's local, so if it's something small like that, he might be able to just stop by one
Oh,
day.
we just
and-
did it in March.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
it's
should,
fresh. He has it all. He was the original surveyor of my property when I bought the house, so he has everything already saved.
yeah, okay.
Now, question with the 60% rule, is it's total square footage, or is that just the footprint
The
size?
footprints. That's why we need to know the footprint of your house.
Okay,
So if we have the footprint wrong and it's less, because it's 750 square feet or 60% of the footprint of your house.
okay.
So
And
that's,
this looks like more than 60%.
yeah, exactly, so,
So that's another variance that you would need.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know off the top of my head, I can't do that math in my head, but I'm sure it's 60-ish, maybe
Well,
65.
based on the numbers we used, 2189, he needs 727. That's the size variance. It's on my memo.
he's allowed, oh, so that's what he still needs.
Needs 720.
So we're already approving the greater than 60%.
Correct. And if
Okay, we
the
do have a
footprint,
assessment.
and if the footprint is smaller, we just have to change those numbers.
Yeah, because then it's a greater variance.
Correct.
Okay, so we really need that number to correct this.
Okay, so you just need the exact footprint of the house.
We need the dimensions of the house,
Okay,
okay? So if they
Sounds
can
good.
add that to your survey, then,
Might help you.
yeah, you can't, it's not gonna help, it's gonna make the variance greater. Instead of 727 square foot variance, he's probably gonna need a 900 square foot variance or something, so.
Okay.
So it's gonna make the variance greater, but I don't see that it's, how close is the house on, it looks like this other property wraps around you?
yes.
So how close is the closest house to you?
They're probably still, from my house to their house is probably 85 feet, 90 feet. Because I think the side of my house to my property line is 70.
76, so it's
So they're
almost 80 feet
so
right
they're
there.
probably another 25 or
And
30
they've got to
feet
be at least
past.
another 25 feet from the property
Yeah, right.
line. So they're probably at least 100 feet away, but take down the 30 feet for the garage itself, and then the
That's going to
probably
be,
15 feet difference between where your house ends and the
Yeah.
house, so 45 feet of the 100 at least. Okay. Have you talked with your neighbors about this, or no?
no, I don't think they're going to worry too much or
Okay.
mind too much.
Is there a lot of vegetation, or a lot of trees there, or no? Is it buffered from them, or are they going to see this?
They're going to look at it, they're going to see it, but I don't think they're going to mind based on
Okay.
their property, what I see. So,
Well, it's just an awfully large detached garage. That's,
I know, I got to do it once. I'm going to build, I'm going
that's
to
why
build
I'm
it once.
saying they may have a legitimate concern by something that's so large. It's going to look like another house.
Right, so I guess that's why they would come here, right? If they had a voice their opinion?
Right, and that's why I'm warning you not to be so cavalier about it. They may have a valid
That's fine.
concern that we would listen to, so.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay. If you have an opportunity to, I would speak with them ahead of time,
Okay,
okay? And just offer if there's anything.
If they can write a letter or something supporting your petition, that'll help your cause.
okay,
Because they'll be seeing the thing, they'll be most impacted with this construction.
Right, and the more you know ahead of time, before you come back here for a public hearing, the better off we all are, that's all.
Yep.
Okay?
sounds good.
All right, comments or questions from board members?
I would like to see an updated survey because it was just done last month or so, and it doesn't have all the numbers that I need, so I'd rather see if you can ask
So
the,
let's be clear, what do we need added to the survey?
I mean, the dimension of the footprint as an example, the distance, I'm assuming the 35-foot is
To the property lines.
to the property line, so he is good up there. But again, the major issue is the footprint. So I'd just like to see
Well,
a
yes,
survey.
we've already said that. Is there anything else you're saying that you want added?
No, I think that I think is the only thing.
Okay, that's fine.
So just to be clear, just the footprint. Got it.
The dimensions of the house.
Okay, what's the roof drain? I don't know what that
Yeah, we
is.
need to make sure that's
So
accurate.
that it's a basin there, it's a detention basin, or,
What is
so
it?
it's water? It's going to
Okay.
collect the storm water from the.
Oh, that's what it is,
From the pipes
okay.
and the roof drains
Oh,
coming
that's
down.
what, okay, that's
Yeah.
what,
Yeah, it's filled with riprap. Just keeps the
Okay.
water from going around the corner of the road.
okay. Yeah, that's it. So motion to advertise, I guess.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so Jackie will give you information about your sign that you're going to place close to the road. And we'll see you next month. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
See you next
Take
month.
care.
Less than an hour, folks.